FBP family, it's go time. I am super stoked about Jason's episode today. Jason delivers a stellar interview about growing one's professional network. So come grow with Jason and his guest Steve Spiro from LinkedIn here on the Fitness Business Podcast. Looking to learn more about the Fitness Business Podcast and our guests? Well, follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook for weekly updates. Oh, and I almost forgot, as we wrap up 2022, we're looking for some feedback. So please head to iTunes to leave us a review.
Hello, FBP family. With us today, we welcome Steve Spiro, the host of the LinkedIn live show, The Master Connector. Steve is an inspirational speaker and professional development expert on the topic of growing one's professional network. In today's Thinking Ahead show, Steve shares varying strategies and tactics to help you grow a stronger professional network.
We will hear from Jason and Steve in less than 2 minutes. First, a huge thank you to Keep Me for supporting our show. Want to sell more memberships, improve your retention, and maximize your non-dues revenue? Then take a look at Keep Me. Keep Me is a smart automation platform that's helping fitness operators increase their revenue across the entire membership lifecycle with some pretty amazing results. Keep Me customers have consistently achieved lead generation rates above 60%, increased their average length of membership by 12 months, improved their non-dues revenue by 35%, and saved 16 to 20 hours a month per team member. We absolutely love this tool, and we think you will too. To learn more, head to www.keepme.ai and book a demo today. We love Keep Me, and I think you will too. Go check them out at www.keepme.ai. Make sure you come back next week for our educational intensive show with special guest Abby Marks-Beal from Rev It Up Reading. Now listen to this. Abby is actually a speed reading expert, and the tips and advice that she delivers in this episode will not only help you become a better reader, but also a faster reader. After Jason's interview, I'll introduce you to Abby, and you're going to hear how this episode is going to make you become more efficient in your workplace.
Health club leaders, you work hard to ensure your members have the very best fitness experience, right? You need personal trainers who do the same. Become a preferred partner with ISSA, and we'll deliver the best trainers in the industry to your club in a matter of days, fully certified and ready to work. And we'll help you keep those trainers by offering them exclusive discounted pricing on ISSA certifications. Because when your trainers stay, so do your valued members. Becoming a preferred partner with ISSA is absolutely free. Click above or visit issaonline.com/fitbiz to get trainers now.
It's time for me to hand the mic over to our Thinking Ahead host, Jason Stowell, along with his guest, Steve Spiro.
Good morning, Steve. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, good morning, Jason. Good to be here with you.
Excellent. So before we go into a little bit about your professional activity, can you just tell us a little about your origin story? I find it fascinating how you've grown into the professional you are today.
Oh, man. So I don't know how much time we have here, but so born and raised in the Bronx. Dad was an entrepreneur. He owned a liquor store, dissuaded me from going into that. So wanted going into advertising marketing. High school and college for that, got out, couldn't get a job, started a company, opened an advertising agency in the city, New York City, and then eventually had an illustrious career in the advertising industry. You wound up economy shifts. I wound up meeting a very successful entrepreneur who kind of takes on a role with me on a mentorship basis and kind of changed it all for me. And I wound up reinventing myself, starting a path of self-development, books, audios, networking, pivoted over into technology and now consulting. I do speaking. I've got a LinkedIn live broadcast, as you know, and I do. They call me the Master Connector, which is ironic because grew up shy and introverted, picked on, bullied, learning disabled, dyslexic. So it's crazy who I was and what I've kind of evolved to, and I attribute that to the power of mentorship, power of self-development, and just networking in general, and the power of connection. So.
Yeah, I was going to say the Master Connector on LinkedIn is quite the cornerstone of success. That's incredible. So if you don't mind, I just want to jump into it. You
Sure.
actually speak a number of times And a lot of what you speak about is about being authentic and making sincere connections. And can you just tell us a little bit more about what that means to you? Because we're all trying to network, but you're networking authentically, and I'm intrigued by what that means.
So, at some point I'll be asked to speak on a TEDx stage, I'm sure. And that talk will be topicked or titled, "In Our Weakness, There's Power." And, we all have our stuff. I had my share of it, as I shared, right? There's all these insecurities. I had more hangups than the phone company growing up, and, all these things and insecurities and so what I learned and what I realized was that all those insecurities, those hangups, those weaknesses was really holding me back. In fact, it was really preventing me from, connecting with other people. There was, I had a wall up, a big time wall. And, essentially by protecting myself, I was weak and didn't connect. And so when I finally came to terms with that, and I was able to now allow people to understand my weaknesses, my insecurities, some of the challenges, and lead with those weaknesses and vulnerabilities, I found that the connections were powerful, and I felt powerful in terms of my confidence, and so it became amazing. And so I really have a strong belief on the fact that if you really be vulnerable, right? I know we know Brene Brown, and she did an incredible job on that. But it's true. If you do that, you will find that people will want to connect with you better, and you'll create some really meaningful connections and relationships, and collaboration will occur from that as well.
So that leads into one of the other topics that we were talking about your shift from being, inward focused to outward focused.
Yep.
So can you share a few insights on that?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I was so self-absorbed because I was so broken, and there was this tendency to just protect and to be inward. And, I felt like if I showed myself, people would criticize me, so I really was just self-absorbed, and it was comfortable, right? You're a fitness guy, you're big in the fitness industry. You'll probably cringe when I say this, but, I could sit, and I have done this. I had put on a massive amount of weight. I've taken most of it off, thank God. But I would sit in front of a TV, watch Netflix, and eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream in a sitting. And I would do that 2 or 3 times a week, right? And it was so good and so comfortable, but afterwards it was so bad, right? And and we know, right, working out, right, you have to push yourself a little bit sometimes, but you feel really good afterwards, right? Not only you feel good that you accomplished something, but the endorphins, and there's all sorts of other things that kick in, right, when you work out. And I kind of compare being inward focused to kind of eating Haagen-Dazs ice cream in front of the TV. It just felt comfortable, but afterwards it was like, And then going and being others focused was like working out. It was like, okay, it feels good. I did, yes, it's uncomfortable, but when you do it, you feel great about it. It's funny because during the pandemic, and I guess we're kind of getting out of that finally, the heart of it, the thick of it, year, 2 years, really, especially the first year when it was really locked down, I felt more connected than I'd ever felt in my entire life, because I was becoming others focused, and I was reaching out to people, and I was having a lot of these Zoom calls. I was doing a lot. I was probably doing maybe eight a day. It was crazy, but I felt really good. And the more I focused on other people and looked to add value, looked to serve, the better I felt about me. It's just amazing. And so, one of my favorite books is the book, The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. And that is a great book, an example of what a go-giver represents. In fact, to the degree of, besides kind of claiming to be the master connector, right? I also, on my profile, LinkedIn profile, I have go-giver on there. In fact, I asked Bob Berg himself, I said, would you mind if I use that title as part of my LinkedIn profile? And he's like, well, thank you for asking. Most people just assume and they put it up there and they don't ask, but I appreciate you asking. And I did. And but it's amazing. The more you focus on other people, whether you're in, the fitness industry, or you're in sales or business development or in business ownership, and you look to serve other people, you're going to find yourself really feeling better about you. When you focus on yourself, you may be comfortable, but it's not ideal.
It's fascinating to hear you say that because as you were mentioning how you feel more connected now via the pandemic, I was just thinking and reflecting that, I have some sincere relationships with folks that I've actually never been in the same room with other
Yeah.
than this right here that I
Right.
consider as good of friends as anyone I've met, in person.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, it's so true. And honestly, there's a value in this here in that, when you would go to coffee with somebody or be at a restaurant with somebody, it's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of things around you. And here now we're on Zoom, we're on, we're like locked in, right? We're eyeball to eyeball. There's, you've got a white background behind you. I've got a crazy, virtual background behind, there's not much distractions. And, people are going to know and, become very hyper aware if, I know you're writing notes there, but if you start, someone's looking away, distracted, it's just not good. So it's forced us to really engage with people and really be zoned in. And I think it's great. And it's allowed us to really be able to create really, really meaningful relationships this way. You're right.
Yeah, that's a very cool fact. So my listeners here, again, as you mentioned, health and wellness, they're typically business owners, operators, franchisees, and obviously they're always looking to build their own networks to look for different opportunities through whether our conferencing events or through other socials. Do you have any strategies, any tactical pieces that our owners and operators could learn and utilize pretty quickly as far as I want to make sincere and authentic relationships to grow my business and my local, regional, global networks? Anything that you recommend?
Sure. And by the way, I don't know if it's okay to say it, but I want to just on a side note, congrats on the 1 million downloads of your podcast. Congrats. That's awesome. I'm here to celebrate that with you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for being our guest.
Yeah, it's an honor. Yeah, in terms of network, the reason I don't refer to myself as the master networker, I refer to myself as the master connector because I think it's more about connections, right? If you're out there networking, right? I've done talks on, I call it the 3-legged stool of networking, right? So, there's the traditional networking, which is networking events, right? The old fashioned, whether you're going to some meeting hall and you're meeting people, or it's a cocktail party type environment, or you're doing it on Zoom, or whether you're, doing it on social media through, LinkedIn, which is my personal favorite, or whatever it is, Instagram, what doesn't matter. Or whether it's, just living your life. I call it unconventional networking, which is, just as you live your life, you talk to people and, maybe you're online at a supermarket or, waiting for your coffee at a Starbucks. You just talk to people and the world is your networking event, right? But the key to networking is really, I believe the key and the magic is in the follow-up, right? It's not in the initial. You got to make a good impression. But it's getting that follow up and having, because you're not, let's be honest. It's, when you're on social, it's great. And you want to have a good profile and you want to have real good content. Sure. And a good messaging. Sure. But that's not real connection. If you want to take it to the next level, connect with somebody offline, right? Have a follow up meeting, or maybe it's a first meeting. I know, Jason, that's how you and I connected, right? We took it off of social on LinkedIn and we brought it to real life and we had a conversation. So my recommendation is, if you're having a networking, I'm one of those guys, I'll say, grab as many cards as you can, right? Be normal. Don't be like some kind of, you're not trying to push your product. Be normal, be others focused, but get a lot of numbers. And the magic is in the follow-up. So make sure you send a text or send an email. Hey, I'd love to add value. Well, let's get back together again. I'd love to learn more about you and how it can be a value to you, or how it can be a blessing to you. Same thing on social. Take it off of social. When I connect with somebody on LinkedIn, or if I haven't had a chance to actually, if I've been connected with them and I haven't had a chance to have a conversation, I'm going to reach out and want to have a conversation with you. And I think that's important. Take it off of social. And the same thing if I'm just meeting somebody randomly. I'll have a follow-up text. I want to have a follow-up conversation because, again, one thing is having a good image, good profile, good brand. But if you're not taking it to the next level and having that follow-up conversation, what good is it? And then the second thing is, to the point that we were speaking about before, which is being others focused, right? Number one, connect authentically, right? So you're gonna talk about some of the things that you've struggled with. And again, this is not a dump session. You're not like airing your dirty laundry, but things that you've overcome, you share about it, right? And hopefully hear what they have to say, and hopefully they'll open up as well and hear and be, genuinely interested in them, right? It's not a check the box. Okay, where are you from? Okay, you're from Chicago? Okay, check. Okay, what do you do? Okay, check. No, you're from Chicago. You lived there your whole life, and there's like 6 or 8 layers you can go on that question, right? And what do you do? Oh, you're in fitness, and why'd you choose that? Do you like it? How'd you get into that, right? And there's 3 or 4 layers on that, and just be others focused, right? Connect, be others focused, and make sure you follow up. And I like to always have some next steps. A next step being, maybe it's I'm going to invite them to another networking group that I'm a part of, or maybe I'll invite them to to my show in my case, or maybe I'll say, hey, go look at my LinkedIn connections and maybe find a few people that you'd like me to introduce you to. I'm always going to try to leave with a next step of some sort. And if not, if I feel there's a real value to that person, hopefully I really believe there is, I'm going to put the next step for myself, and I'll put a reminder in my calendar somewhere. Hey, let me reach out to this person in 6 months or a year or whatever, 2 months, whatever my thought is, and do something with it. Don't just make it another connection. To me, connecting, networking, whatever you call it, it's not about another number. It's not about numbers. It's not, okay, I have 10,000 followers or whatever it is. It's not about that. It should be about connection and how could you really do something meaningful with those connections?
I think your quote, magic is in the follow-up, is just an incredible insight, because we all look at what's that first step, but you're right, equally, if not more important, is that next step. And so
sure.
That's a really great highlight that I think is important for my listeners to hear. So bridging off of that, and the next step, obviously, as you just alluded to, you want to build professional rapport with these folks. You don't want to just, do the thing. Like, obviously I want to sell you something, but I know professionally, I've been trained to do 5 minutes of rapport building before we do the thing. And our customers out there, our members, our clients are so in tune now that they know exactly what's going to happen, right? We're going to try to just build this. Let me ask you about your kids, whether I truly care or not. The salesman's been trained like that. So can I ask, is it through your manner, your temperament, your tone? Like, how do you create rapport, again, that's sincere and authentic and doesn't just feel like he's asking me the questions because he's trying to ultimately sell me something?
Well, big part of what I try to go into conversations with is no agenda. In the sense, the agenda, in other words, what am I trying to get agenda, right? It's truly how can I serve you? How can I help you agenda, if you want to say that, right? And so, is there structure to the call in my mind? Yeah. The structure is a little, my calls would typically break the ice. I want to hear your story. I'll tell you my story, and then maybe make some suggestions on how it can help you. If you really feel like if you really genuinely care about that person, which I know you do, Jason, this is not you I'm speaking about, but if you go in knowing how can I help this person and dig in and really, really understand, then if it results into a sale, great. But I'm not going in there with that. I'm going in there with, let me see what's their pain points? What's their challenges in life? And I'm thinking, okay, who do I know in my network? What do I know as far as some of the, I've done a lot of reading over the years. I'm an Audible guy because learning disabled, right? But it's allowed me to do at least 1 or 2 books a month. So I've got a lot of books in my head, a lot of knowledge that I've put together. And yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, how can I help you? And if it means it's something that I market or sell, sure, but that's not my agenda. And I also know that if I really show value, then maybe by the next time we meet up again, it'll be something that they want to potentially buy from me or use my services or whatever. I'm not in a rush. I want to make sure that it's literally them leaning in and saying, hey, I really tell me again what you do, because I love this. And is there something that you do that can help me? I want them to be the one to say that to me. and not be the guy saying, well, let me tell you about my products, right?
Love the trigger of them leaning in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So can I ask, I read something randomly when I was just preparing to speak with you for the first time, that you're a black belt in karate, and I think your wife's a black belt in karate. Is that correct?
She is, yes. I have a 4th degree in Goju Karate and a 1st degree in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and my wife's 2nd degree in Goju Karate as well. So life's interesting in our household, that's for sure. Both being black belts.
I wanted to thank you for your time today. And then if you have anything else you'd like to share with my listeners, I'd love to hear that, as well as if our listeners would like to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that, sir?
For sure. And again, thank you for the honor of being on here with you. And I really do appreciate it. And I'm excited for what you're doing with your community. Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll just say is this. Listen, I think the world, there's some darkness in this world, right? There's some hurting, whether, we've got through COVID or not. And people, now we're starting to see a lot more layoffs. We're seeing the economy shifting with the inflation and pricing going up. And now big companies starting to do some layoffs. There's some darkness, right? There's things that are happening. But you know what? If we could be a beacon of light and hope, right? I was at an event, and at the tail end of that event, it was a big ballroom, and they turned the lights out, and everyone had a candle, and they lit they had the person up on the front of the room, stage, so to speak, light one candle, and then they lit 2 or 3 others around them, and they lit people's, and then within 5 minutes, the whole ballroom was brightly lit through these candles. Because when you light somebody else's candle, it doesn't diminish yours, it doesn't put yours out. And so one of the things I speak about a lot is let's be the light. Let's light other people's candles. Let's give them hope. Let's let them know that that we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And if you're in a dark place, understand it's going to be okay. And I just want to be be a beacon of light and hope for people and inspire them. My mission on the show is to be the light, uplift, inspire, and encourage. And speaking of which, I would love for you to tune in. It's on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. So we do a 30-minute segment. We've had amazing guests on our show. It's called the Master Connector Show. If you want to go to masterconnector.show, that's the website for the show. It's aired on LinkedIn, but it's also aired on YouTube as well as Twitter and Facebook. So it's another, if you're not a LinkedIn guy, it's really, that's our primary, but find me on LinkedIn if you are on LinkedIn for sure. Love to connect with you. Also, it's easiest to find me and find all my links by going to stevespiro.com, STEVESPIRO.com, and you'll find lots of ways to connect with me and also to hire me as a speaker. My speaker website is spiro-global.com. That's my speaker website. So find me there, and you'll see some of the stuff that I do. So, but yeah, I'd love to connect with you. If you're listening to this, watching this, definitely let's connect for sure. I'd love to be a beacon of light and hope and help add value in your life as well.
Great job, Jason, and thank you so much for leading today's Thinking Ahead episode. For all of you listening out there, we here at the Fitness Business Podcast had made it easy on you to get in touch with Steve Spiro with any follow-up questions. His contact information has been posted on our show notes. The show notes can be found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. And you know what else can be found on fitnessbusinesspodcast.com? The subscribe button. Yep. Just click on that subscribe button so the show notes will be emailed directly to you each and every week. It's that easy. Now give us 30 seconds and we'll introduce you to our upcoming guest, Abby Marks Beal. Looking for a gym wipe that is gentle on fitness equipment but tough on eliminating germs? Look no further. Vapor Fresh gym wipes are specifically designed to be safe on all gym equipment. And the fact that they are the only plant-based disinfectant wipe on the market makes them the top choice. Vapor Fresh wipes come in 2 convenient sizes. The smaller canister is perfect for home gyms and boutique studios, and the jumbo refill roll fits perfectly into the dispensers. Vapor Fresh wipes, 100% happiness guaranteed. Hey, FBP family, we have a special guest today sharing some exciting news. Let me introduce you to Dipra Ray from Body Mapping.
Hi, Dory. And yes, we have some very exciting news. BodyMap is going to add profit to the bottom line of gyms, studios, and health clubs around the world. We are an app that accurately measures body fat with your device without the need for any staff or physical equipment. And the key for clubs is that we have multiple business models. And in simple terms, it's a revenue split with the club with absolutely no upfront payment. So the more members who download the app and sign up to measure their body composition and body changes, the more the host club will make and the more motivated your members will remain.
All right. Well, that sounds fantastic for clubs.
It sure is. We're also committed to bettering the industry and think that there is absolutely no better way to do this than through education. And the education that you provide is second to none. So we'd like to announce today that we'll be joining the Fitness Business Podcast as a new partner.
Oh, that is such great news, not only for us, but also for our FBP family, as over the coming months, they're going to learn more and more about BodyMap and how it has a positive impact on their profit lines. Thank you, Dipra, and FBP family. Stay tuned in the coming weeks when we will talk, or I should say I will talk, one-on-one with Dipra to find out even more. If you have any early adopters, Dipra, where should they go?
2 ways. One, they can download the BodyMap app on an iOS device. Or 2, they can go to bodymap.co and then they'll be able to find us.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. We look forward to working with you.
Quickfire 5, sponsored by Hapana.
Let's get to know Abby Marks Beal from Rev It Up Reading. Plus, she recommends the perfect book that complements her episode. Abby, welcome to our Quick Fire 5 segment. I'm excited to have you come on the show next week. Let's start with your first question. What is one item on your bucket list?
I would say it's to build my online reading course and sell it. It's a great bucket list item.
Great bucket list item. All right. Number 2, whose business brain would you like to pick?
That was a hard question because I have a few, but I think the one that if I ever got privileged would be Tony Robbins. He has so much experience in so many different areas, and he just knows so much. So maybe, Tony, if you're listening, I'm here. Would love to talk to you.
All right. Now let's talk about your website. What's the most visited page on your website?
So I was hoping it was going to be like test your reading speed, but when I looked at Google Analytics, it was just boring. My homepage, revitupreading.com.
Well, that's a good page to start with.
Yeah.
All right. Well, being an author yourself, I'm very anxious to see what book recommendation you're going to give to our FBP family.
So yes, I read a lot and I would love to give you other books to read, but I have to give you my last or most recent book called Speed Reading, a little known time-saving superpower, because you're here to learn about speed reading and that would be very helpful to you.
I love the plug. Fantastic.
Yes, thank you.
All right. And our final question is, what would be one oh shit moment of next week's episode?
So I thought about that too. And I have to say, I used to hate to read. And I've been in this industry now for teaching speed reading for over 30 years. And I used to hate to read. And so I know that there are listeners who hate to read and they know they have to. And so I want to be able to help them know what is it that turned me around, obviously to make a business out of it, but then that could help them to not hate reading so much.
All right. Well, FBP family, next week we have Abby Marks Beal joining us, and she's a speed reading expert and author. Please join us. Learn how to read faster next week. Join my amazing guest as she unlocks the secret to not only reading faster, but smarter too. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player so you won't miss an episode. We couldn't do our show each and every week if it wasn't for some amazing people and some amazing companies. So I'd like to say thank you to our founding partner, Active Management. Our partners, Keep Me, MyZone, ISSA, and Hapana, as well as our advertisers, Rex Roundtables, MX Metrics, and Vaporfresh. We believe What you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but woven into the lives of others.